Good afternoon, everyone. I am delighted to welcome PM Group to DKIT's Virtual Career Series 2021. And today we're focusing on the built environment. I'm joined here today by Michelle O'Hagan, who is the graduate recruitment lead and is here to tell you all about how to get that application into a PM Group. And also to Edmund O'Brien, who's the building service engineer with PM Group, and he is going to talk about his experience with PM Group. These series are in the format of a presentation, but to make it as interactive as possible, that we would ask students and anybody watching live, pop some questions in the chat function or in the question function, and we'll answer them at the end. So, usually we have our career fair on campus, but for this year and last year, it's been virtual. But we will be delighted to welcome you back on campus as soon as we have the go ahead to do so. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Michelle.
Perfect, thank you. So just firstly, thank you so much for inviting myself and Edmund to today's event. We're delighted to be presenting to you today on behalf of PM Group. We're going to get started by just giving an introduction. I'll give an introduction to who I am, and then I'll kick off our presentation and giving you a full overview of our next graduate programme. My name is Michelle O'Hagan and I am the graduate recruitment lead for PM Group. I support all our hiring managers to ensure we hire the best junior talent into the company from our internships, placements and our graduate programs. As well as that, we want today's session to be as interactive as possible, so feel free to pop in your questions that you have, and myself and admin would be more than happy to answer. It's always good to really get in front of employers and ask those all important questions coming up to the interview process if you are interested in applying. So just to get us started, to give you an overview of who we are and what we do. So PM Group, we are a project delivery specialist firm. We're an international firm at that. We have locations all over the world. We specialise in complex projects across the globe in a variety of different sectors. And our expertise really lie within project management, process design, faculty design, and construction management. So if you're a student and you're coming from a STEM background, we have a wide range of opportunities that would be relevant to your degree backgrounds. Just to give you an insight into our mission and some key facts as well included in our mission, we are an employee-owned, 100% employee-owned firm. And with that, we encourage our graduates when they join us to get involved in that share scheme as well. But we have an inclusive and committed workforce. We innovate to deliver critical facilities with our partners. Working together, our projects improve everyday lives across the globe. And with some examples of our projects that we've worked on later on in the presentation, you'll really get a true insight into how we are benefiting external stakeholders in terms of their everyday lives. So our values. Now, this slide is a really important slide for any students that are considering to come for interview with PM Group this year. So we assess our candidates based around our values. And our values is expertise, partnership, inclusion, integrity, and commitment. And with that being said, a really easy way to remember our values is the word EPIC, so EPIIC. There's an extra I in there, so just to be mindful of that. But we do assess our candidates based around our values. And when it comes to expertise, we are experts in the industry and we are leaders as well within the pharmaceutical sectors, the mission critical, advanced manufacturing and food and beverages. So with that, we want students to bring their experts to the forefront of their interview as well. So being in terms of your degree background, any skills that you've learned throughout your modules that you feel is relevant to the position, really get that across during your interview. Partnership as well. So we work very closely with our clients and colleagues. And with that, when we're talking about partnership during the interview, we're looking for students to really get across their teamwork elements through their course. So be it if you have joined if you've worked within a project team, what was your role? What was your responsibilities within that area? Then when it comes to inclusion, we are an inclusive workplace and we do respect all cultures and backgrounds within the organization. So somebody that is coming into the firm, we're looking for somebody that is very open-minded and that has mutual respect for all our stakeholders as well. Integrity is really important to PM Group, and I guess coming from the industry that we're working within, and again from your degree backgrounds that would be relevant, you will probably be hearing health and safety and the importance of that. And throughout your interview, if you can really get across the importance of health and safety, as this is paramount to PM Group, and we always ensure that our standards are met to the best practice we possibly can, and ensuring that our employees are safe at all times, be it on site or going out on client site as well. And then finally, commitment. So we want our future employees to be committed to PM Group as we are to our clients and to our projects. So in terms of getting across your commitment for the company, make sure you've really tailored your interview practice and research towards PM Group. Have a look at where we operate, what we do, and where we specialize our expertise in. And that will really give a true insight into your interest in PM Group and sit well within the interviewer's review. So that's just a really important slide for any students that are thinking of coming on board with us. Then just some key facts. So we have 3,200 personnel, and we've actually just got a recent announcement that's increased to 3,360, and we are growing significantly. So we've made a commitment this year to hire 150 plus graduates across Dublin, Cork, and our international locations as well. We are based across 12 countries worldwide, so there is endless opportunities if you are interested in internal travel. With that being said, we have clients based in other locations outside of our office locations. So again, there is endless opportunities there if you have that itch to travel. Our average revenue last year was 400 million, so a really successful year for PM Group. And it was a really true testimony to our work within the current pandemic, the clients that we're working with, and within the pharmaceutical industries. We were very much involved in supporting and building those facilities to ensure that everybody could avail of the COVID vaccines. And we'll show you some examples of that in a few moments. We are 48 years in business, so it's a really good time to join PM Group as you will be joining within our 49th year on completion of your degrees. But then we have a major celebration when it comes to our 50th year in business. And with that, we have a lot of repeat business from our clients, and it's just a true testimony to our success and our expertise in our industry and maintaining those relationships over the last 48 years that we do continue to get repeat business. We invest 4 million annually in development and innovation, and it's really important to PM Group to keep up with the times in terms of technology and ensuring that we are leaders in the industry, constantly reviewing what our competitors are doing and how we can do it better. For those of you that are interested in innovation and development, I would recommend you check out our website or our YouTube channel. And you will see recently we've done a video where we used augmented reality on a project. And this is where you were able to put on specialized glasses and you were able to see it was a clear sight, but you were able to see actually the development of the project in stages, right from inception to completion. So it's really cool software that we've been using in some of our sites. And then again, just highlighting the fact that we are 100% employee owned. And just to highlight some of our top clients, I'm sure you're all familiar with some of the names on the slide. Taking the top names there, that is our pharmaceutical clients. And as you can see, they're major players in the industry. We are working with tier 1 clients across the board, be it in the pharmaceutical, mission critical, advanced manufacturing sectors. So you too could get experience and exposure to working alongside any one of these clients if you were to come on board with us. So exposure and variety within PM Group is definitely something that is a unique selling point for our graduate program. Then our worldwide office networks. So as we touched on earlier, we are an international firm and we have locations in Belgium, Germany, China, India, Ireland, Poland, Singapore, Switzerland, the UK, and the US. And there is endless opportunities in all of those locations as well. So if you are coming for interview, we would definitely highlight that you stipulate your preference if you are interested in traveling during that interview process. Then our sectors, as I've highlighted previously, so these are our sectors, and this is the opportunities that you will get to work on if you come on board with us. And I guess this is just a really good slide to highlight in comparison to some of our competitors. You could join another firm and be siloed into one sector. For instance, the pharmaceutical industry, as they're actively recruiting at the moment. But with PM Group, it's very daunting for students coming in. They're not really sure of where their skill set lies or what they're going to really enjoy. So with PM Group, you're really getting that exposure to a variety of sectors very early very early on in your career. So on completion of the graduate program, you have an insight into the different sectors, and then it's really a good chance for you to weigh up your options and see, okay, where is my skill set going to lie, and where do I want to specialize in? So this will give you the opportunity to assess those. Then our services, so you could be working in any one of our services depending on which discipline you come in on the back of. So we specialize in project and program management, procurement, construction services, environment and sustainability, health and safety, and we also have our outsourced technical services. I won't go through all of them, just conscious of time, but as you can see, there's quite an extensive range of services that we do offer our clients. Then just a nice stat that we have. So we have been ranked within the top 100 international design firms in the world, and that's from the ENR rank. So obviously coming from your engineering backgrounds, you're all probably familiar with the engineering rankings, and it's a really prestigious ranking to achieve, and this is our 11th consecutive year of achieving within the top 100, which we're really proud of. We're also within the top 10 of data centers, and we're number 4 with food and beverages as well. So something that we're really proud of, and again, true testimony to our professionalism when we are working on projects. So then just to highlight some of our projects, so this is a large-scale cell cultural biologics manufacturing campus, and this was for one of our clients, Alexion. And this was one of the campuses in Dublin. So just to draw your attention to the area and size of that campus, sitting at 29,000 square meters. So this could be as an example of a project that you could be working on, and the facilities. And as we did mention previously, these are complex projects. So the detail that is involved in these and the attention is extensive. Then another biologics manufacturing plant, and this is in Janssen in Cork. And just to draw your attention on this one to the value of this project. So this project is sitting at 315 million for phase 2, and then in phase 1 it was 280 million. So that just shows the extensiveness to the cost of these projects. These are not small time projects. You're dealing with millions in terms of the budget for these projects. So it's really, really complex stuff. And then our vaccine sterile fill and freeze and drying facility. So this was a facility we had done for one of our clients, MSD, another pharmaceutical client. And this was in Boxmeer in Holland. And just to highlight here, it's again, just emphasizing our international travel. And we have a lot of opportunities currently within our DACH region. So any students that are coming with a language background, that's going to be a real advantage to your application. So make sure if you do have a second language to highlight that. We are actively looking for German speakers, but if you have any additional languages at all, that will stand out really well on your application. So make sure you highlight that. And then just on to our next graduate program. So our graduate program is the next program, basically meaning the next step in your career. And with our program, we want our graduates to be challenged, have the opportunity to continuous learning, and also the aspect of socializing within their graduate network. And how we would do that is within our graduate program, you will have the opportunity to grow. So career progression is so important to PM Group, and continuing that education and that professionalism is so important as well. So you will have the opportunity to further your education outside of the graduate program. So if you have completed a degree and wanted to go on to do a master's, or more importantly, if you wanted to go on to do your chartership, we will financially support you within that decision. We also have our learning and development. So within our graduate program, you will go through extensive training, so internal and external training. You'll also have the opportunity to go out on site and have site assignments, and they would be varying from anything from 6 months plus. As I've mentioned previously, the professional status, so we would fully support you from a financial study leave perspective, and also provide a mentor for doing your chartership. A variety of experiences. So as we've previously mentioned, we're across quite a wide range of sectors and clients. So you will get the experience and exposure within all of those industries. The international opportunities, and then finally the graduate network. So we are hiring 150 plus graduates. So as you can imagine, you will have a very extensive graduate network very early on in your career. And with that, we do try and encourage our graduates to meet up outside of the graduate program, outside of work and environment. And we also arrange a lot of activities for our graduates to get involved in, from charity work to bites and pints when we're allowed to. Because of COVID, everything's kind of been restricted, but we do host Zoom parties and quizzes, etc. through the virtual systems. And then just to highlight, our program is a 2-year program and it runs in parallel with your job. You are on a permanent contract from day one. And this is something that I really want to highlight to students that are potentially going to review this presentation afterwards, is that if you are speaking to employers, make sure you ask that important question: am I going to be on a permanent contract, or is it a fixed term contract? A lot of companies on the graduate side, especially within this sector, will talk about their graduate program, but you have to re-interview on completion of the program, and there may be only one position and 5 graduates up for that position. So just bear that in mind. Whereas with us, you are on a permanent contract and then you just feed into the business after the graduate program, and that's when you really start your career progression. Our training also targets all the core competencies of the engineering institutes. So that's covering right from your, if you were to come in on a mechanical background or a building services background, you're going to get an insight into how each department work and each sector works as well. And based on the differences on projects within each of those departments, you'll also get an insight into your soft skills. So the likes of presentation, communication skills. And some people might think that's not really relevant to my role. It is so relevant, because when you come into PM Group, you could be representing PM Group on client site, and you may have to report back to senior management, or you may have to present back to the client on your forecastings or your projections. So we will train you up to ensure that you have the skill set to do so from an industry professional standard. Then you will also get exposure to multidisciplinaries, and this will be within your project teams, and again, that site visit. So you do have your mandatory 6-month site placement. It does vary in terms of duration depending on which department you come in on. For instance, if anybody was coming in on a construction services background, you would have the opportunity to be on site for a lot longer in terms of duration. And if you were coming in on the likes of a CQV position, you'd probably be shorter terms. But that site experience is there for everyone. We also have a dedicated mentor program. So when you join, you will be assigned a mentor, and this is somebody that can help support you throughout your career with PM Group in terms of career progression, and just giving you any advice and making sure that you're comfortable when you first join. So I'm just going to hand over to Edmund now to give an insight into his career since he started with PM Group. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Edmund O'Brien, and I work in the Building Services Department in PM Group. So today I'll just speak to you briefly about how I came to work in PM. So I'm working for PM for just over a year now, and I studied mechanical engineering in MTU. So I suppose why I studied or chose to study mechanical engineering was greatly related to my hobbies. In my free time, I love working on restoring old cars. I love working on engines, and I also have a huge interest in steam engines. And this is actually very much related, believe it or not, to the work I do in PM. So next slide there, please, Megan. So this is one of my steam engines, and this little device is quintessentially mechanical engineering. It's all to do with moving parts and heat transfer. So this is very much related to the kind of work I do on a day-to-day basis. Steam systems are used a lot in the sector that I work in building services. My favorite subject was thermodynamics, which is the study of heat transfer and the study of basically creating useful work from energy. So I work in sorry, next slide there, please, Megan. Thank you. So I work in a sector called HVAC, which is heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So at PM we could be tasked with designing, say, a pharmaceutical production facility. So on the right there, I have a picture of a typical biopharma facility, and our task could be to maintain a certain temperature inside in a room. So inside in this production facility, you will have equipment, you'll have manufacturing equipment, and you'll have people, all of which are generating heat. So part of my day-to-day tasks will be transferring the heat generation from these machines. And our job then as air conditioning engineers would be to design the equipment that is required to maintain the temperature that is required for the for the production room. So this involves designing the fans, the pumps that direct and the piping, excuse me, that direct the airflow into the room, and then the equipment that extracts the warm and contaminated air from the production facility. So that would be part of my day-to-day tasks and what I've been doing since I joined. And I have to say I do find the tasks very interesting. They're very much related to the work I am interested in and the subject matter that I liked when I was in college. And just as regards the working environment in PM, I have to say there is a very supportive culture in PM. People understand when you come in as a graduate that you need to learn, and I have to say I found people very much willing to answer questions I have and aid me when I need it. So that it's very that is a very I suppose reassuring thing to know that you're not just going to be thrown in the deep end with no support. You will be helped by senior engineers, and your work will be checked by senior engineers. And one thing I found very prevalent inside in PM is the emphasis that is placed on your career development. As Michelle mentioned earlier about chartership, there's a huge emphasis on developing your career as you work in PM. There is funding available to do masters and further your education should you so wish. So that's great to know that once you join, your career is only just starting to develop, really. And I suppose external to the work we do in the engineering sector, there is also community work we do in PM. For example, at the moment, on behalf of PM Group, I'm working with Junior Achievements Ireland. This gives me an opportunity to go to secondary schools and speak to students about the importance of education and the importance of choosing your career. So just to sum up, I have to say I'm very much happy with the work I've been doing in the past year. I find the environment very supportive, and I'm just generally very happy here. So thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope you got something from my little piece. Thank you.
Thanks, Edmund. That was great. And then just before we finish off, just to highlight, as Edmund mentioned, we are involved in Junior Achievement, and we're involved in a lot of other corporate social responsibility initiatives with a variety of charity partners. And we actually link up with a lot of schools in the local area to where we're located in Dublin and in Cork. And this is where we would go in and speak to students and educate them about taking on careers in STEM and any background or any information we can give them to help them ensure that they have a really positive career choice when it comes to that all important subject selection. And also we have provide laptops, etc. And as you can see, we're involved in a lot of other charity work there with the Simon Community and Cancer Research. So then just to highlight, we are active on Instagram, and we do encourage all students to follow us at pmgroup.life. And this is where you'll get the most up-to-date information around the graduate program, hints and tips on the interview and application process. So it's worthwhile just giving us a follow there. And then finally, in terms of your application to PM Group, it's a really simple application process. You just click on the link to our website and select graduate careers, and then you're able to filter under, for instance, building services or construction management, whatever it is you're interested in. And then you just apply, and it's just a matter of uploading your CV and cover letter, and that's it. So it's a really straightforward process. We have no psychometric testing or various stages like that. It is very straightforward. And then if you're invited for interview, majority of the interviews are one round, and that is where it will be competency and technical based, and competency will be focusing again on those values. So just bear that in mind. But thank you so much for listening. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask, or we can follow up at a later date.
Thank you so much for Michelle for giving us an insight into the PM Group, and what a wonderful graduate program you have. What really struck me is that you give permanent full-time contracts from day one, which is really interesting. But you know, as you said as well, you've exposure to a variety of sectors. So you're not just going in on one role, a permanent role. You get access and are mentored and can move on to other projects within the company.
Exactly, yeah. And that's something that's really important, I think, for students, especially when they're learning, everything's new and they want to absorb as much information as possible and to really get an insight into what their career could be like in certain areas and sectors and within the program. That's what we try our best to do.
Okay, fantastic. And I have a question that came in there. You said that PM Group was 100% employee owned. Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so it basically means that employees can buy shares in the company. So we really are masters of our own destiny. What we put in, we get out. So we can really avail of the financial successes of the company. And this is also open to graduates as well. So that's something that I guess is a unique selling point, because it will be very rare to hear an engineering or construction management firm offering that. So after 11 months within the company, students have the opportunity to buy shares in the company. And a lot of students would do this by, instead of taking their bonus, they would put their bonus back in, and it's tax-free money. So it's a really good way of building up additional savings as such, or a financial reward at the end of it as well, especially with how successful the business is moving. Over the last 5 years, we've just been growing from strength to strength, and you can see a significant increase in people's shares because of it.
That's fantastic. I suppose it really motivates then your employees as well to do well and to make PM, the best company that it can be, which is, it's really fabulous. So for the hiring process, then really what students should focus on are in their CV, the values that PM upholds. So that should really shine in their CV and also in their interview process.
Yeah, exactly. So if they can get it across more so in the interview process, but what we would suggest highlighting in your CV is any relative work experience. Now, it's not a necessity, but it is obviously an advantage. Any languages, as we mentioned, again, not a necessity, but an advantage. And most importantly, your project piece. So we would always recommend students to put in a couple of lines on, if they selected maybe 3 projects they've worked on. One could be an individual project, one could be a teamwork project, and the other, it's up to themselves what they put in. But just highlighting, I guess, the softwares that they've used, the modules that they worked on within that project, and what role they took on, because that's something that the managers really look for as well.
And I was really interested to hear, Edmund, of your hobby. So before you probably even joined PM Group, you were interested in restoring old cars and whatnot. And so often, a lot of, we would tell our students and our graduates to make sure that they put some of their hobbies down, because you never know how that may take your, career. And always I find if you have a passion in something, you enjoy it more. So you enjoy your work more.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I remember a teacher when I was in school, he used to always say to us, if you pick something you love, you won't work a day of your life. And he's spot on.
Absolutely, that is so true. And as well, I heard a quote on one of the careers fair earlier that said, the expert in anything was once a beginner. So again, it's a lovely phrase. So you've got 150, is that right? Open jobs at the moment?
Yeah, so we are actively recruiting. So I would encourage students, if they are interested in a position for next year, so 2022 intake, to get their applications in over the next few weeks. So we finish our career fairs next week. We're with TUD Dublin next week, and then that's us fully wrapped up on campus in terms of the career fairs. And we will actively start reviewing applications and interviewing straight away. So if students are really interested, get those applications in sooner rather than later. As we have a lot of opportunities there for them.
And you take from all disciplines like building surveying, architectural technology, construction management. What about level 7, level 8s, level 9s? Do you recruit across all levels as well?
Yeah, across all levels. One thing to note, we do hire level 7s, but this wouldn't be as often. We do kind of look for that level 8. So we would encourage students to continue with their education. But for some roles now, electrical and piping engineers, and even some into building services, actually we've hired a graduate this week into building services for an immediate start, and they're coming in on a level 7. So it really just depends. If you are on a level 7, if you have relevant work experience, your profile will be reviewed just as anybody else's. But we would encourage students to get that level 8. And again, as Edmund mentioned, we strongly encourage further education. So if you come in on board with us, we would put you through your level 9 or your chartership. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like an absolutely fantastic company to work for. And I really appreciate you, Michelle and Edmund, for taking your time to come in and explain to our graduates the process of application and what a great company it is to work within PM. So hopefully you've been a great supporter of DKIT and DKIT careers fairs in the past. And hopefully when we get the go ahead to bring you back on campus, we'll have you here live to meet our students. Again, thank you very much to you and to
Thank
PM
you.
Group.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
It was a pleasure.
Take care. Bye now.
Thanks. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Edmund.
Thank you.